Now we're joined by, I was going to say in studio, but this is much nicer than the studio because there's a lovely big window and we can see right out into the street of Castlepollard. But we're joined by Martin Smith, who's chairperson of Irish Rural Link and also chairman of Oldcastle Vintage Tractors. We'll be talking to Deborah Goss, who's right in front of me directly, who's co-chair of the M4 Women's Group and secretary of the Pollard Players Drama Group, and John Higgins, who's PRO of Castlepollard Community Council. Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to start with you, Martin, as chairman of Irish Rural Link, and of course because of your connection there with vintage tractors. When I was driving over from Tullamore this morning, and it's true, Anne-Marie said it this morning, it's beautiful, absolutely amazing countryside. Maybe I'm just being a bit strange in this, but what kind of countryside is Castlepollard? What would be the farming around here?
Well, it'd be basically mixed farming around Castlepollard. It's a very rural area. Even it's fairly well attached to motorways with the M3 and the M4. It's still a rural area. Castlepollard. It's a good thriving town. I suppose it's one of the towns that hasn't lost so much business-wise over the last couple of years. Some other towns have been much more depleted. I suppose the people in Castlepollard can be happy with the way they're getting on at the present time with this downturn. I have to,
John, I was in Durrow a couple of weeks ago for the launch of the How Are You Festival, which is taking place until Sunday, by the way, lads. But they were telling me down there, I asked, what do you call, is it a town or a village? And Hugh Shepherd there from the Durrow Forum said, well, I like to be calling it a village because it has more of a community feel. So what's Castlepollard?
No, we call Castlepollard a town.
And what makes it a town over a village? The size of the population?
The size of the population, the size of the area. Yeah, we would always call it a town. And when you're playing hurling, you always hear them shout, come on the town.
Come on the town.
Come on the town.
What colours do Castlepollard wear?
Blue and yellow.
And how good are you?
Well, we're improving.
We're getting it. We're not there yet,
no,
but we're getting there, to quote some party from before. So, as Martin was saying there, that beautiful rural place, but you know, on the economic front, it hasn't really been hit by the recession. Would you agree with that?
Well, Ralco and American are the two big industries, and they're both doing well.
Yeah, actually, because it was 3 years ago when I was up reporting on the possible closure of Ralco, and it seems to be still it seems to have rallied and turned around, and has with its new owners.
With new owners, yes, and I understand they are recruiting. So hopefully
that's good to hear, actually.
It's good to hear, yes, and American the same. So hopefully that'll continue.
And when you look outside the window there now, it's not something that you think of that there would be two big industries in an area like this, because it is very rural.
It is very rural, yes. No, you wouldn't think any, and you wouldn't know they were here really.
No, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't know they're here.
Actually, when I was driving to it 3 years ago, I got lost so many times because it wasn't on the sat nav. And somebody there laughed and said, "What did you expect us to be on the sat nav?" No, but it is. It's absolutely stunning countryside, though.
It's beautiful countryside. It
pops up out of nowhere.
It is, yes, it's beautiful countryside, really.
It is beautiful countryside.
And it's very much a hidden part of Ireland that people don't know about.
Why is that?
I suppose it was never sold. It was never commercialised. You know, it was just it's just the way it is. You know, and maybe it's the way we'd like to keep it.
Keep it yourselves. Do you think the same, that, you know, bucking the trend, jobs being advertised for Ralco, and you know, that basically people are keeping their heads above water here in Castlepollard, Deborah?
I think just about, but I do think it's tough as it is everywhere. I think everybody is feeling it. I don't think you escape it. So, but I think, yeah, generally the community spirit is good. I think in all times like this, the community spirit is the one thing that keeps everybody here, and that is very prevalent in Castlepollard.
What's it like for a woman then? You know, like, it was the little shops in the town that seemed to be closing. You know, the little boutiques, quirky little interior shops, you know, there seems to be the ones that are gone. Is Castlepollard all right for women and shopping?
It is, and we have, I mean, yes, it is. For general weekly shopping, you've got everything that you could want, actually. We have a butcher's, we have a nice fruit and vegetable shop, we've hairdressers. And the hotel is really good. It's a very central place for coming and having a coffee and things like that. So actually you have everything that you want. And then Mullingar isn't that far if you need to do bigger shopping. Is
it still like a hub? You know, we always hear about towns losing the heart because of developments being built outside of the town, is there still the heart of Castlepollard? Is still the life and centre right here in the middle of the town?
I think so. Yes. Yeah,
Would you
I
agree,
think it
boys?
is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still yes, still the hub now. We have a Tesco on the edge, which has drawn some of the business out, and it left a few empty spaces here, but it's still a hive of activity around the centre of the town.
And where do kids go when they finish college? Where do they get jobs? Do they still go to the capital and try and come home?
Yes. Yeah, they still go to the capital. Still have to go to the capital to get educated, to get their to go on to third level.
Yeah.
Or to
Athlone
or Dundalk or Sligo or wherever, yeah. And then try to come home. Fortunately, a lot of them don't get home, but that's the reality of life, isn't it?
Same everywhere.
Same everywhere, yeah.
Yeah. So is the population then around here, is it, Martin, is it more an older population then? Is the young in the capital or the bigger towns of the AITs are?
I suppose as you move out to the rural areas, it would be more of an older generation. But I suppose they have made a commitment as well by providing sites for the younger people to get involved in the rural area. And I think they have made a great commitment with families and that to stay there. And hopefully that the upturn will come again, that they'll be allowed to live there. And that will be to the good of everybody, schools, churches, GAA, all the organisations.
You say there that a lot of them, they got the family plots at home as sites and built houses. And
yes, they have made a commitment to living in rural Ireland.
Yeah, and they can't live in them except for weekends or whenever they come home on holidays, is it?
Well, they do live. A lot of them had work here. I suppose maybe the downturn hasn't helped, but hopefully they'll be able to sustain it and come through.
Is it a commuter town in any sort of a way at all?
Yes. Yeah, the train runs from Mullingar straight into Dublin, so I think quite a few people can get the train up. But the N4 goes pretty much straight into Dublin, so it's pretty easy to get.
So it's about an hour or less to Dublin for people.
Just about an hour, yeah. Just about an hour.
Yeah. So in the business front then, as you were saying that there is local businesses here, are many people biting the bullet and trying to start up their own little enterprises, like the little shop, like the butchers, as you were saying, where you go in?
No, I see no real evidence of that. That people are biting the bullet and starting their own business. No, I think they're consolidating, holding what they have and see what's going to and seeing what's going to happen. Yeah.
Is the majority of people around here, is it supported by the farm community? So
yes.
It's food produce and stuff like that, is it?
Farmers selling direct, there would be a certain amount of that. Is that what you mean?
Farmers markets or things like that. No, I actually mean farm produce. Most people here would either be, making food for the national food stock.
Yes. Yeah, most would be all farming-based industry. Farming would be the big industry.
It's the biggie.
The biggie. It is the biggie, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, I think we'll go to commercial break, and then I'll talk about the little hidden gems, which are the likes of the lakes, the castles, and all of these beautiful things that are around the place. So we'll come back and we'll talk about those just after this. And you're very welcome back to Midlands Today. If you want to get in touch with the programme, you can text me on 083 30 10 103, or you can call Sinead back in HQ on 0818 300 103. We're joined in, I was going to say in studio again, we're joined in Hotel Castlepollard by John Higgins, who's PRO of Castlepollard Community Council, Deborah Goss, co-chair of the M4 Women's Group and secretary of the Pollard Players Drama Group, Martin Smith, who's chairman of Irish Roar Link and chairman of Oldcastle Vintage Tractors. John, what are the kind of hidden gems around here? I know Anne-Marie this morning was talking about a load of them.
Tullynally Castle is obviously one very well known one. Then you have Fore Abbey, which is another one. You have the lakes. You have Loch Derivara, Loch Lane, Loch Lore, the White Lake, and an abundance of lakes and an amount of fishing. Mullameen Forest, which is ideal for walking. They're the big ones. They're the main ones. Any more we can think of? I'm missing, Martin.
I suppose we have some beautiful villages within the hinterland as well. We have Finney and Fore, Collinstown, Clonmelon, Multifarnham, Street, Rathone. There's a good network of villages round about, which also have facilities available to the people living in those particular areas. So we're lucky enough in that sense, really.
It's actually one thing that I didn't, well, besides how clean the place is one thing I did notice this morning. And I don't know if that's because your tidy towns crew have been out cleaning up. Maybe there's an inspector coming around soon.
They're active this year, all right. They're very active this year. They're doing great work.
It's noticeable. It really is noticeable.
The town looks very well, yeah.
But you do have a lot of the brown signs with fishing and lakes on it. And I think every junction you come to has one of those signs there. So there's absolutely loads to do.
There's loads to do, yes.
And what's the tourism like then? Is it?
Tourism is quite good, although it could be marketed much better.
Yeah.
We have places like Four, like with the Seven Wonders, which I think could be really marketed much.
Tell me a little bit
more.
about the Seven Wonders, because we heard of this before on Midlands 103. Just refresh us.
Yeah, well, Four is a very historic village and Benedictine Abbey. The Seven Wonders, I just can't get them off, one after another, but people that go there, the water runs up the hill, the water that won't boil. There are several ones there. There's a niche, I suppose, to any other area, and it has fantastic potential going forward for development.
It has fantastic potential for some sort of movie there if the water is going up the hill as opposed to down. How the hell does it do that? Gravity, has anyone done science on it?
I suppose that's one of the mysteries.
It comes in off Lough Lane. The water comes in off Lough Lane and comes out at 4.
Yeah.
And 4 is higher than Lough Lane.
Yeah.
So it's one of the miracles. The others are the wood that won't burn.
The wood that won't burn?
Yeah. There's a tree out there. There's 3 branches representing the Trinity. And take a piece of that, it won't burn. You have the water in the well out there that won't boil.
It's just really crazy stuff.
The monastery itself is built on a shaken scraw, built on a bog, but it doesn't fall. There's a big stone over a door that was supposedly lifted up by St. Fehan on his own. You have the anchorite cell where hermits used to spend their life, and it's only a very small area. It's a miracle how they could stay there. That's the lot, most of them now.
God, I just think that's absolutely fascinating stuff, and I cannot understand why there isn't busloads of people coming in to see that.
Yeah, well, there's nearly every day you go out, there are cars out there. But
there are people coming and going and visiting for, but I think the potential there is much greater than is happening at the moment.
Yeah,
there's great room for marketing of a place like Four, The bar, in conjunction with the other facilities in North Westmeath.
The bar next door is called Lear. After the children of Lear, because Lear is really this area.
That's right, Lough Lane, yes.
Yeah, Lough Lane. So, like, that story is internationally known about the children. It's a bit of a scary children's story.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you remember it?
I remember the bones
the
of
basics,
it.
The horrible stepmother.
The horrible stepmother, yeah. The stepmother's always horrible, isn't it? That's all. In these stories.
No, I'm sure there's some beautiful stepmothers out there.
I'm sure there are, but they get a bad press in the stories.
John didn't mean to offend anybody in that statement, and I'd like to step myself out of that.
No, I didn't mean to offend anybody at all. No, but in the stories, in the fairy tales, the stepmother always comes out as a bad person, and I think it's unfair.
That's what that's what I like. If you take that story for Americans, I mean, like, you'd think that they'd be just coming in droves and droves to it. They probably are, aren't they? They are, aren't they?
There are a lot of people coming, yes. I suppose maybe it does need to be marketed, There's a lot of things round about North Westmeath and maybe North Meath and East Cavan that could combine for a package,
Yeah, and just get them over that. Now that you mention that, actually, I'd like to talk about the placing of Castlepollard in the Meath West constituency. As opposed to in Westmeath, Longford constituency.
Yes.
Is that a bit of a gripe? I take it the local authority is still Westmeath.
That's right, yeah.
It is,
yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. County level, it holds us forth at local authority level, yeah.
And how do you feel then about having, your local councillor in one area, but you're voting then in the general election in another area?
Well, I suppose the change came about by population trends, and there wasn't enough, in actual fact, in Westmeath, Longford, so they had to move in part of Meath to make it a 4-seater, and there was enough in Meath to make it a 5-seater as was. So I suppose it was based on population at the time.
And
if the amount of elected representatives are going to be dropped, which is proposed, it
possibly
has a chance of coming back into Westmeath again.
And is that what, Deborah? Is that what you'd rather like? I mean, to be voting for people running, in Westmeath?
I suppose everybody wants local, because then they know your situation better than anywhere else, and you always think they'll represent you better because they're more likely from that's where they're from. So yes, of course, it would be better, but
it doesn't really seem to make a day-to-day change.
I don't think it'll make a day-to-day difference.
Does it not? No,
I don't think so.
Would you rather just book up ship and go to Meath?
No, come back to Westmeath. No, come back to Westmeath. If you went out there and asked the 100 people out there in Castlepollard who our 3 TDs are now, I'd say you get it very hard to find anybody that would be able to name all 3. I'd say 50% mightn't be able to name any of them.
Really?
Yeah. Now, if you ask them, they'll come up with the Westmeath ones, because that's the ones they relate to.
Yeah, so if there is if people are lobbying for something, then do they still go to the Westmeath?
Go to the Westmeath ones, I'd say,
TDs?
Yes, yeah.
So I just don't understand then what's the point of having it in another constituency.
Well, as Martin, it was.
I know, I can understand the maths of it.
But
sometimes maths isn't, the best solution to a problem.
Yeah. But that was the solution they came up with at that time.
Okay, briefly before we have to go to news, I want to ask you a little bit about the Pollard Players drama group. Deborah, what kind of things have you been up to lately?
Well, we normally put the show on in about March, so we're in our quiet bit at the moment and preparing ready for next year. But we've done pantomimes, comedies. We have a large contingent of children.
Yeah.
Very talented children. So we're always trying to use those as well.
Who's the local dame then in the pantos? There's always somebody that does the dame
Colin,
every year.
Isn't it?
And is Colin any good?
He is brilliant.
Does he look good as a woman?
Well, he's going to hate me for saying this, but no, he doesn't actually, which is probably what makes it all the better. No, he doesn't.
He doesn't look like a woman.
So that's good.
So he doesn't look like a woman, but are most of the community then involved? I know you said there that there was a big number of children in it, but are most of the community involved in it?
Yes, I think it's something that they support as well, because we put it on for about 3 or 4 nights, so everybody comes and watches it. But it is all the, a lot of the local children will be in it, and obviously adults as well. So no, it is, yes, very well supported.
Okay, well, we've actually run out of time. Doesn't it fly when you're having fun? Thank you very much for coming in, and I hope you get an old cup of tea there this morning. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.